When Fortune Strikes, Part 1 of Vengeance in the Void by Jason Halstead. Copyright 2024.
3 days. 3 fucking days.
The young man, sitting in the pilot's couch, snarled. He slapped the side of his console to make sure his disgust was obvious.
We're not giving up yet, Brax.
The captain of the leader, and also the father of the pilot, said,
The AG drive can barely sustain 5 Gs, let alone the 12 Gs it's supposed to peak at. Not that it probably ever could. Even if Ma had the supplies to fix and maintain the field calibration.
Brax pointed out.
I may not have the engineering savvy you and your mother do, but don't think you can iceball me with techie buzzwords.
His father said, and then asked,
So, we're 3 days shy of help from the Terran Navy?
That's right, at full burn they won't be here until then.
Pirates will have us in 20 hours.
Diera, Brax's younger half-sister, said from her couch on the Legio's bridge. Jared stared ahead for a moment and then said,
So we push as long as we can and make it difficult for them. Then when we can't push any more, we repel borders. I'm sure we can hold them long enough that they cut their losses and run.
That's... Dad, there's no way. That's 2 full days of the 6 of us trying to hold off a trained pirate crew.
Brax said. Jared shook his head.
Nothing to it. We know the ship and we can force choke points. And we don't need to hold them off for 2 full days, more like 1 day or maybe a little more. They'll be anxious to loot and run before the Navy gets here.
They'll have plenty of time since they can breach the hull anywhere they want. Once they vent the hull, we won't matter.
Brax pointed out.
We'll have our suits on.
Jared said. Then he grinned and shared the source of his smile.
And I've got some special tweaks built into the old girl to help out.
You better not be talking about my mom.
Braxton said.
Mine either.
Diera added. Their father laughed and said,
No, I mean my real first wife, the Leda. See, I've got some special boxes that will trick a scan into identifying as organic medical supplies. They won't dare blow our Atmo if they think they'll lose valuable cargo like that.
Dad. What about customs at our next port?
Diera asked.
Oh, I'll turn it off before then. It's not real, just some sort of trick.
That's actually pretty amazing.
Brax admitted.
What? No, it isn't. You can't make something that isn't organic look organic to a scanner.
Diera said.
The guy I bought it from assured me it would. He even showed me proof.
Jared argued.
Let me guess, he showed you using his equipment?
Jared shut his mouth and glared at his daughter.
Sorry, Dad, but you got suckered.
She said. He sniffed.
I think it'll work fine. But like I said, we'll be in suits if it comes to it.
Brax sighed and went over the console for the 100th time. He knew there was no way to cheat physics and escape, but he kept looking for a way anyhow.
What this ship needs is a new drive. Or a working backup system, at least. A decent ion drive would make a difference. Even a good old fusion drive could give us the punch we need.
We made that decision a while ago. The extra cargo space was worth it. Taking on more has helped us pay off a lot of debt and get you kids the training you needed.
Jared explained.
We didn't need official classes.
Brax said.
He's right, we could have learned everything we needed here.
Diera supported her half-brother.
Sure, learned all you needed to know this ship, but there's other ships out there. Other places. Other tech. You needed to learn that too. Besides, I'm only so good with sensors and comms. I never could figure out the math in my head for frequencies like you can, D. You needed somebody other than me to teach you.
Brax rechecked his course again and then sighed and stood up.
Where you going?
Jared asked.
Nothing I can do right now. They won't be close enough to be a threat for another 16 hours anyhow. Figured I should go grab something to eat and stretch my legs a little.
The Lidu's captain nodded.
Not a bad idea. We're far enough out, let's have a family meeting in the galley.
So much for stretching my legs and relaxing.
Brax muttered.
Think how much better it'll feel to do that after we get free of these space vultures.
Brax snorted. Deira stood up from her couch, stretched, and enjoyed a few satisfying pops in her back, and then joined Brax.
Hang on, I'll walk with you.
He scowled at her and intentionally ignored the way her loose-fitting coveralls showed off her bare belly beneath the strappy crop top she wore.
You afraid you're going to get lost?
I'm afraid of the dark.
She said, while they passed through the door to the bridge.
Might be some monster hitched a ride in a crate and it crawled out of the cargo hold and it's just waiting for some juicy young flesh to eat.
Jared's voice sounded over the ship's PA systems.
Attention all hands. Please meet up in the galley for a family meeting in 10 minutes.
With their father's message echoing down the long hallway that led past crew quarters, the galley, the holds, and finally to the engine room, Brax turned to her and asked,
Juicy?
I'm stronger than your scrawny ass.
She said as she stepped up to the first door on their left. The door on the opposite side was the captain's cabin, which had been expanded and rebuilt to allow for Jared and his two wives, Linda and Oksana.
Excuse me for wanting to spend my free time actually learning things that will be useful to me instead of getting all sweaty and tired pushing crates around the hold.
Working out is about being healthy and in shape. It's not just pushing crates around. If you came down there and worked out with me and my mom sometime, you might even like it.
Sure, yeah, be ridiculed by two meatheads because I'm weaker than they are when I could be studying for my astrophysics degree.
She glared at him and asked,
I thought you said you didn't need to learn anything from anywhere else?
He returned her glare.
You are so annoying.
She grinned.
Yeah, but I'm cute too.
You're my sister.
Half-sister.
Still gross.
That wasn't what you said a few years ago when you got curious.
Stop! That you came to me.
Hey, I just had a couple of questions. You were the one that suggested we practice just to see what it was like.
Brax blushed. The door to the galley opened, cutting him off and admitting Deira's mother, Oksana, and Adam. Adam was the only member of the crew that wasn't a member of the family yet. He was being considered to join in as a second husband, which would mean a new dad for Brax and Dee.
Hey kids.
Oksana said, and smiled at them. She even veered over and gave her daughter a kiss on the cheek before turning and heading to grab a cup of stim. She liked hers, mocha-flavored, even if the flavoring left a chalky texture behind.
Hey.
Brax said.
Did you get that coupling fixed?
Deira asked. Who's the boss now?
Oksana asked.
Deira blushed.
Oh, she's very bossy.
Brax offered. Adam chuckled and grabbed a pot of water after he scrubbed his hands on a cleaning towel.
Any idea what the captain's calling us together for?
The captain is Jared.
Oksana said.
And they call you Ox, but I'm still trying to convince everybody I'm respectful.
Adam said. Brax chucked and pointed a finger at Adam while he looked at Deira.
See, respectful. You should learn from him.
She made a lazy swipe at his hand and said,
I'm going to snap that finger off.
Brax jerked his hand back out of range. The door opened again to reveal Jared standing in the doorway. He was looking down the hall and waited a few seconds until the Ledu's first mate and engineer, Linda, slipped in front of him and paused just long enough to give him a kiss on the cheek. She brightened as she saw everyone already gathered and shared smiles all around.
Hi, Mom.
Brax offered as she took a cup of stim that Oksana made for her and showed her appreciation by giving her a peck on the lips. Linda sipped her beverage and nodded her appreciation to her wife. She preferred her liquid energy with a touch of lemon. Synthetic, of course, but none of them knew what a real lemon tasted like, so it was good enough. Jared let the door close behind him and shared a nod with Adam. He looked at the rest of them and then took in a deep breath.
All right, here's our situation. We've got a pirate ship bearing down on us. We've got our trusty turrets, but there's only 2 of them and they have better guns than we do. If we try to shoot, they'll shoot back and I'd like to minimize putting holes in our ship.
Linda and Oksana both winced at the thought of all the work that would leave them.
Dee says they'll catch up to us in about 20 hours, so 1 full day. Maybe more if we can make it difficult for them. Brax reached out for help, but the nearest Terran Navy ship is 3 days out. Nobody else is closer or willing to help us.
The captain explained.
2 days is plenty of time to board us, steal our shit, and make a run for it.
Oksana said. Jared nodded to show he agreed and said,
It is. If they can do it that fast. We've all trained in repelling boarders. We know the ship. I think we can hold them off. Maybe not forever, but long enough.
Long enough for what? For the Navy to get close enough to scare them off.
Linda asked.
Yes.
Jared said, and flashed her a grateful smile.
Dee, what kind of ship do they have?
Linda asked.
It's a Corvette class, they've made a lot of modifications, and they aren't running an active transponder, so I can't do any better than that.
De'Ara responded.
Corvette against a freighter.
Oksana mused out loud.
They won't have the cargo space we have. Adam said.
They'll go for smaller, lighter, higher value stuff.
Linda said.
Which we don't have much of.
We're carrying farming equipment, a tanker full of helium-3, and about 1,000 cubic meters of lumber. Not exactly a rich haul.
Oksana said.
The H3 is probably their best bet for a quick turnaround.
Adam reasoned.
Real wood out here. That's worth almost as much as the freighter is to the right buyer.
Jared pointed out.
Right, and it's so easy for a Corvette to unload that from us and store it.
Oksana pointed out.
If they had a week, sure, they could take it. They don't.
So they drain as much helium-3 as they can take and break down the tractors for parts.
Linda said.
Or they do none of that because we stall them too long.
Jared said. He leaned in a little and tried to sound cheerful.
Come on, fam, we can do this.
De'Ara took a deep breath and let it out as she suggested,
We could surrender. Let them take what they can, then we still keep the rest.
I'm not paying no damn pirate tax just because we came through a free system.
Jared snapped. He winced and added,
Sorry, Dee. Didn't mean to snap. I just.
He's right.
Oksana said.
Dee's right too.
Linda came to the defense of her stepdaughter.
They don't want to get shot at any more than we do. Long as we show them we've got a strong position, they'll negotiate.
Linda mused. Jared sighed.
I don't know if it's good or bad that you used to work with people like that.
Linda sent him a smile and said,
Ancient history, baby. Just means I understand them. Besides, I didn't work with them, I had to fix their shit to save my ass.
I'm glad you did, it's a nice ass.
Oksana said. Linda grinned at her.
Thank you.
Hello, children present.
De'Ara said.
Oh stop, you may be our child, but you're an adult.
Oksana chided her daughter. De'Ara stuck her tongue out at her mom. Brack shook his head instead of screaming at them to remind them of the situation they were in. He swallowed down the worst of his frustration and asked,
So we need to look strong and present a threat, even though they could kill us all?
That's right.
Linda confirmed.
They have a window, and if we know it, odds are so do they. We give them an opportunity that will optimize their profits and they should take it.
But at what cost?
Jared asked.
We're on the hook for the cargo we're carrying. Filing an insurance claim might cover our costs, but we'll take a loss for not completing the contract. Plus, the hit to our rep, and let's not forget insurance is great and all, but if we have to use it, odds are good they'll stop offering it or jack up the cost so high we can't afford it.
Then we don't need it. There's no liens on the LIDA, so it's just our risk.
Oksana said.
Yeah, no. Any decent logistics office won't work with an uninsured freighter.
Jared said. You guys are thinking long-term. I'm more worried about what happens in 12 hours.
Brax tried to steer the conversation back.
His dad smiled.
I think we've got a plan.
What?
What?
Dee and Brax asked at the same time. They shared a look and Diara stuck her tongue out at him before turning back to their dad. Jared leaned forward to share his plan as though it was a treasure map.
We make a run, like we're doing, Jared said. When they get close and we can't risk it anymore, we stop ignoring them and open up comms. Then we negotiate, making sure to take as long as we can. If that ends up not taking long enough, then we're that much closer to the Terran Navy. Then we hold out and make them earn it. Shouldn't be long at all.
Fuck.
Brax breathed. Diara glanced at her brother and then adopted her innocent little girl voice and asked,
Dad, I know I'm young and Navi and all that, but isn't it better to take a loss and make sure everyone lives?
Jared straightened a little in the low gravity of the ship.
Everybody's safety is my top priorities. That safety includes making sure we have a future.
Brax recognized the way his dad's brow creased as a warning sign.
We know. We get it.
Yeah. Just this isn't our first run from pirates, but it is the first time we haven't been able to get away. I'm just a little scared is all.
Diara added. Jared relaxed at her admission.
Don't worry, Dee, we'll get away from this too. Just you wait and see.
She smiled back and said,
Thank you, Daddy. That's all I needed to hear. I trust you.
All right.
Jared beamed. He turned and looked at everyone else.
Are we good? Any other thoughts or concerns?
We're running low on mocha.
Oksana said.
You think maybe the pirates would be willing to trade some pumpkin spice?
Everyone laughed, cutting the tension in the room.
I'll be sure to ask.
Jared said.
If that's it, then let's back to work and squeeze every last bit we can out of the old girl.
That's on me mostly. Maybe Ox can help too.
Linda said.
Anything you want or need, just ask me.
Oksana promised.
The rest of us will make sure the ship's in good shape if we have boarders. Hopefully we'll have some time left to rest before things get spicy.
Jared said.
Love you all, stay safe.
Everyone made their way out of the lounge and back to their stations, or to prepare the ship for Jared's plan. Brax and his sister made their way back toward the bow of the ship.
What are we going to do?
Dee hissed after she and Brax returned to the bridge. Their dad stayed behind to talk with Linda about the AG drive.
Dad says he's got it.
Brax responded.
That's bullshit. You're more worried than I am.
Brax shrugged. Diara slugged him in the shoulder, staggering him a few steps in the half-G gravity. The ship ran on.
Ow! What the fuck?
Don't be like that.
She snapped.
Me? What about you? You know what Dad gets like when someone challenges his ideas. I didn't figure we had time to listen to him preach at us about all he's done and been through and how his vision got us where we are and how he's the captain and that comes above family.
Nothing would have changed.
She said.
Exactly. Except we'd all be walking around like we were trying to drift through a grav mine field.
Diara sighed.
This sucks.
Yup.
She was silent for several seconds before she whispered.
I love you, Brax.
He looked at her and smiled.
Really? You're going to be like that?
Shut up. I wasn't lying, I'm scared.
He swallowed his chuckled and nodded. The fear he'd pushed down in his belly uncoiled and rose in him, stealing his breath for a moment. He forced it back down by focusing on breathing, and then he said,
Love you too, sis.
She hugged him and, for a strange moment outside of time, Brax relished the comfort of holding and being held by another person. The thought that he was sharing his emotions with his sister didn't matter, only that they both needed it.
Okay, you need a shower, you stink.
She said at last, and let go of him.
I showered before my shift.
Well, take another. Or maybe we could threaten to send you with the pirates and they turn around and fly away.
Brax scowled and twisted his head down to sniff at his armpit. The only thing he picked up was a hint of the deodorant he used, some marketing ploy to make him think he smelled like a red cedar forest.
14 hours later.
14 hours of their first 20-hour day were gone. The pirates were well within range for light-speed communications to be possible, if a bit delayed. Yet they hadn't bothered to reach out. Instead, they drew closer and closer, stalking the Lido in the darkness of space. Each second, they sat at their stations, watching consoles that barely changed took an eternity. Nobody spoke or even looked away. They were afraid they might miss something happening. The intense focus of the repetitive routine of checking through readings, panels, and displays lulled Brax into a meditative state until Dira cursed and began punching her console like it owed her money.
What the fuck, D?
Brax asked. Their dad leaned forward in his captain's chair and asked,
What's wrong?
Nothing. You know that stupid bug where this thing crashes and has to reboot? Now, of all times.
She spat.
Oh well, it could be worse. Let me know when it's back.
Will do.
Brax saw her glance at him a couple of times, and he frowned. She was acting funny. There, another glance. Not at him, though. She was looking lower. At his leg? He dropped his gaze to his leg and saw nothing out of the ordinary. Just his loose-fitting cargo pants he always wore. His pocket bulged slightly where his datapad pushed against the fabric. Brax jerked his eyes back to his sister and saw she had her datapad in her lap and was tapping away at it. He frowned and fished his out of his pocket just in time to get a message from her. It read, "Bad news. Check this out." Brax pressed his lips together and waited another second for her to transfer the data stream to him. It took him a moment to make sense of it on his smaller screen, but a few adjustments to magnify and rearrange the display. Later he was staring at a sensor report of a Terran Naval interceptor. He glanced at the coordinates and vector, and did the quick math to understand why Dee was so upset. It had nothing to do with her system. They sent an interceptor? Against a corvette? He typed back. "We're so fucked," she replied. Brax squeezed his eyes shut and couldn't find it in him to disagree. When he opened them, he typed, "You have to tell Dad." "I know." "Scared?" was her response. He tried to reassure her by typing, "Not your fault." "Isn't it?" "I sent the request for help," reminded Heim. He wasn't letting her blame herself that easily. "You told them what we knew." "Told them about the corvette." "Yes," she admitted. "Then you did good," he insisted. Their datapads were silent for a long second before she sent, "Thanks." XOXO. "Don't send me that." He replied so fast he had to correct a typo. She struggled to keep her dad from seeing her smile as she replied, "Means I love you, dummy. Not that I want to bone you." Brax frowned and typed, "I thought it meant kisses and stuff." She was biting her lip now. "Bro, you need to get your head out of the textbooks and watch something from this century." "Okay, sorry," he typed. XOXO, she sent, and then snorted a giggle. Brax winced and then jerked in his seat when their dad spoke up behind them.
Is it back up yet?
Yeah. Just finished refreshing.
Diarra lied.
Oh, Dad?
Something wrong. Is it broke?
It's something. I just got the first reading of the naval ship coming to help us.
Oh yeah. What did they send?
He asked, and then went on to speculate before she could answer.
They usually have frigates on patrol at the warp tunnels. Imagine how quick that'll send the pirates in the other direction.
Yeah. It's not a frigate.
Corvette? Destroyer?
It's, an interceptor.
His response took long enough to make her look back at him.
A what?
An interceptor, sir?
They sent an interceptor.
Yes.
That's it? Just one.
Only one contact.
You told them what was after us. A fucking Corvette?
Yes, sir.
Fuck.
No change to ETA.
She added.
Wouldn't matter much if there was, would it?
He mused. He swore again, and then nodded.
All right, thanks D.
Does this change our plans?
Brax asked him.
Right now, no. I need to think it might. We'll see.
Okay.
Jared nodded to himself and swore again. He unbuckled from his chair and hopped out of it.
I'll be back soon, I'll be back.
We'll keep her steady.
Brax said. Jared grunted on his way out the door. Brax and his sister locked eyes.
This is bad.
Dee said,
He's not mad at me, is he?
Mad, yes. At you, no.
Where'd he go then?
Brax shrugged.
Probably to find a quiet place to think or scream or punch a wall.
Dira winced.
Mom told me he does that sometimes to keep from losing his cool in front of others. She said he spent almost 2 entire weeks in isolation after they lost Reba and Connor in that unloading accident.
I barely remember them.
Dira said.
My mom used to talk about them well, mostly Reba. But it's been a few years.
Doesn't help us now though. Dad hiding his anger from us, I mean.
Dira shrugged and suggested,
Maybe he's coming up with another plan?
That's what I'm afraid of.
The pirates finally closed the distance to under 1,000 kilometers with just over 40 hours left before the naval interceptor would reach them. Now they knew the difference was a lot more than 40 hours, though. It was also at least 6 heavy weapons and several thousand ton. At that range, energy weapons were a guaranteed hit. A kinetic weapon, on the other hand, might still be dodged. The kinetic ones were the most dangerous, though, at least from the ability to do massive damage in a single hit.
Brax hid his anxiety well at first glance. He could feel the sweat under his arms and on his palms. Finally, several hours after Dee had called him out, he really did need a shower. Pirates first, though. Shower later. If there was a later,
Shit.
Dira squealed.
They fired at us.
Jared would have flown out of his chair if it hadn't been for his harness.
What? Where?
Energy weapon, I think. Yeah. They slagged our comms.
They hit our comms.
The captain repeated.
But how are we supposed to negotiate?
I've got more data.
Dira shouted.
They're closing faster and I can see their weapons charging again.
Evasive maneuvers.
Brax's hands danced over his controls as he put in commands to move the Legia out of harm's way. They rocked in their seats as the thrusters fired, and the old artificial gravity tried to keep up with the changes.
Another hit.
D, stop shouting. Now what did they hit?
Jared asked.
Sorry.
She said, as she forced herself to calm down a little.
Just the outer hull. No systems are reporting damage and I don't see any pressure loss.
Brax, evade.
Jared commanded. Sweat ran down Brax's face.
I'm trying. We're in a fucking freighter with an AG drive. I can make the ship spin, roll, and tumble, but it takes a lot to keep it from moving in a straight line.
Jared cursed and said,
Yeah, do what you can.
We should return fire.
Brax offered.
I agree, I'm engaging the turrets.
Dad. The belly turret just went dead. I'm trying to get a hull cam on it too. Shit. Yeah. It's gone.
Brax, bring us around so I can use the top turret.
Braxton clenched his teeth as he tried to force the ship to rotate faster through sheer force of will.
Working on it, give me 20 seconds.
They've closed to 400 kilometers.
Diarra panted.
Oh God, they're so fast.
Diarra, calm down. Take a breath. This isn't happening as fast as you think it is. Think, kids. Think and act.
They're firing.
Diarra squeaked, proving she hadn't heard a thing her dad had said.
No systems damage, but
The ship pinged with the sound of muted thumps striking the hull.
they fired their kinetic guns too.
She finished. Jared flipped a switch on his couch to open the ship's PIA system and announced,
We're being fired upon. Lock up your suits, I'm sealing bulkheads.
Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit.
Diarra panicked at her station.
Dad! Turret!
Brax hissed as he reversed thrusters to give his dad a chance to use the gun before the leaders rotated too far.
Helmets on now.
Jared snapped while ignoring his own order. He used his console to target the pirate corvette and overrode the ship's attempt to compute a firing solution, so he could fire it manually. The rotating cannon spat out 37 rounds of tungsten that flew through space at the pursuing ship. After the 37th round, an invisible beam of energy passed over it and melted the barrel, supports, and shielding over the feed mechanism. Diarra whimpered as she saw the turret's active light go from green to red.
I got him.
Jared said, and whooped. A second patter of kinetic slugs tapped through the freighter. Red lights flashed on all three consoles.
Oh no!
Brax breathed.
The gravity drive's offline. They must have hit it.
What?
Diarra gasped.
What are the fucking odds?
Brax growled.
They targeted it.
Jared said.
Take our drive out, leaving us floating. They just bought themselves more time.
Oh shit, you're right.
Brax said.
That adds almost a day before the Terran Navy reaches us.
Fuck the Navy. They can't do shit to help us. It's on us now. Come on, let's get ready to repel boarders.
Dad?
Brax said.
This is no time to fuck around, Brax. Let's go.
Your helmet.
Brax said.
What? Oh yeah, thanks.
What about the others? Moms and Adam?
Brax asked. He glanced at his sister and unbuckled his harness so he could hurry over and grab her shoulder.
D! Snap out of it.
Dee clamped her mouth shut but couldn't stop her chin from quivering. She nodded as she looked into his eyes. They were full of tears, but so far they hadn't fallen.
I got you, sis.
He said. She nodded inside her helmet again and let him help her with her harness, and then he pulled her to her feet. They hurried to the emergency weapons locker on the bridge that their dad had opened. He turned and handed each of them a pistol, and then he took a pistol and a shotgun for himself.
Remember, hardened plastic rounds in these. They shouldn't be able to blow a hole through the hull, but don't shoot at any windows just to be safe.
Got it.
Brax said.
D.
Jared said, when Diarra just stared at him.
Did you hear me?
She jerked her head in a nod and looked down at the gun in her hand. She rotated it and checked to make sure it was ready to fire. Her dad had already loaded a magazine and seated the first round in the action. She checked the safety and nodded again. Keep an eye on her,
Jared said to Brax.
I won't let anything happen to her.
he promised. Jared stared at him a moment and then added,
Son, these men aren't like us. They aren't like anybody you know. They'll take anything they can get, and some things are worth more than others. It's our job to make sure they can't get their hands on the most valuable things on this ship. Do you understand me?
Brax frowned and then followed his eyes to Diarra. She was still focused on the pistol and not paying attention to them. Brax looked back at his dad, and the moisture in the old man's eyes made it perfectly clear to him. He was talking about Dira. His mom and Ox too, of course, but especially Dee. She was the most valuable thing on the ship. She was what a pirate would take, and he couldn't think about that. Couldn't think about what a pirate would do with his sister or his mom's. Brax clenched his jaw and nodded.
I won't let that happen.
Jared reached out and clapped a hand on Brax's shoulder. He felt slight pressure as Jared squeezed his suit, and then Jared turned and led them out of the bridge. They made it halfway to the airlock when the ship shuddered and they heard a resounding clang of metal striking metal. They staggered as the artificial gravity generator struggled to compensate against the impact and change of direction the Corvette caused.
Grapples or something.
Jared muttered.
They'll be docking next.
Linda, Oksana, and Adam were in sealed suits and hurrying along the passageway from the stern of the ship. They were armed with shotguns and pistols too. They were still 12 meters out when the sound of metal crashing and grating against metal accompanied the ship shuddering. Before they'd fully registered the noise, everyone was flung to the side of the hallway.
What happened?
Dee mumbled a few seconds later when they started picking themselves up.
Pirates docked hard.
Brax said.
Didn't match our spin, hopefully that fucked them up.
Jared growled.
Everyone okay?
Brax checked his suit panel and nodded before he noticed a distortion in the glass on his helmet. He turned and focused on it to try and get a better view, and then cursed.
Brax?
His dad called his name.
Everyone else is good, are you?
Brax turned around and nodded.
Yeah, just a scratch or something on my helmet. Pressure's still good.
You sure?
Brax rechecked his suit and said.
Yeah.
Another clang echoed through the hull.
Kids, stay back. Adam.
I'm not going anywhere.
Adam said as he moved to take a position in front of Oksana and Linda. He had a shotgun held up at his shoulder and pointed at the inner airlock door.
Thanks.
Jared said.
When we get back, we're going to fast-track bringing you into the family.
I'm going to hold you to that.
Adam said. Oksana was monitoring the panel controlling the airlock. A figure showed up on the camera. She passed it on.
They're in the lock. Just one guy a negotiator?
Probably.
Jared frowned.
More like first victim.
Dad. You can't just shoot people.
Dira said.
Why not? They did.
Brax pointed out.
Well, we're not like them.
Damn right we're not.
Linda growled.
We're tougher.
What, they broke the camera? We're blind in the airlock. Get ready for anything.
Oksana announced. Jared frowned and then swore.
Get back. Everyone, get.
The airlock door exploded inwards, pushing Adam and Jared back, but only enough to knock them off balance. The rush of atmosphere that raced past them through the ragged opening where the door had been. They were yanked from their feet before they could even think to catch themselves. The two men crashed against each other in the doorway, and the added pressure of escaping air twisted and bent them in their suits. Jared's suit tore, venting a plume of frosty air, and then they both were pulled through and disappeared from sight. Brax, his sister, and his two mothers slid across toward the hole in the hull. Brax lost his balance and toppled forward, sliding faster until he spread his arms and legs out. The extra surface contact, and being lower and more out of the way of the main current of escaping air, let him stop. He grabbed his sister's leg as she stumbled past and yanked her to the ground with him.
Mom.
Dira's voice carried through the comm units inside their helmets.
Run.
Oksana shouted while she and Linda held onto each other and pressed up against the wall.
Hide.
Linda added.
And stay hidden.
Brax pushed himself up and felt the air pushing back at him. It didn't seem all that powerful, certainly not enough to knock him off his feet again. He pushed a little harder and rose to his hands and knees, and then just his knees.
Come on.
He said, and grabbed Diarra's arm.
We can't leave.
Before he could respond, Linda leaned around the curled-in edge of scored metal, pistol leading the way, and fired. They didn't hear the gun go off, but the way her arm jerked confirmed it.
Run.
Oksana called over the comms again as she made ready to take over when Linda pulled back. Brax pulled his shocked sister until she started moving with him. She kept looking back, even reaching once, but he ignored her weak attempts to pull free. They made it to the bridge, and Brax had to override the safety controls to open it. A prolonged blast of air staggered them when the hatch opened. Once inside, he secured the hatch and turned to see his sister reaching up to unlock her helmet. He shouted and jumped at her, grabbing her arms and pulling them away.
There's no air.
Oh, right, we have to help Dad and Adam and our moms.
Brax nodded to buy himself some time. He'd promised to keep Diarra safe. Safe or no, safe. That's what he'd do. He hurried over to the captain's couch and brought up the internal security feeds. There weren't many of them, but they did have one pointing down the main passage that showed the airlock. Or what had once been the airlock, and now was just a hole in the hull. Oksana was down. She was sitting against the wall, her pistol a meter away on the floor. She had her right hand clamped over her left upper arm. A fog of freezing vapor surrounded it. She'd been hurt. Shot or something? Linda kept leaning out and shooting until her pistol was empty. She ducked back and looked to where Oksana's was. She hesitated a half-second, far less than Brax would have done trying to weigh the odds, and then she lunged for it. A figure in a brown and gray vacuum suit stepped into the hole in the hull as she grabbed the gun. She fumbled to get the thick fingers of her suit into the trigger guard, but wasn't fast enough. His boot caught her in the side, and the way she jerked and crumpled made Brax glad he couldn't hear her. Diarra grabbed his arm, scaring his heart into a triple-digit rate. He turned enough to see she was staring at the display. Brax looked back at it and saw his mom picked up by the pirate. The pistol had ended up on the passage floor further away from them. He held her up, and she raised her hands, surrendering.
No.
Diarra whispered.
We'll get her back.
Brax promised without having any idea how to do it. It seemed like the right thing to say. They watched the scene on the display as two more pirates in mismatched suits joined the first. One of them walked over to Oksana, while the other motioned for Linda to get down. She dropped to her knees, moving awkwardly because of the pain in her side where he'd kicked her. Somehow, she managed to keep her head up and stared at the pirate until she risked a glance at her wife. The pirate in front of Oksana gestured at the wound in her arm with his free hand. Oksana looked down at it. Before she could attempt to figure out a way to communicate with him, he shifted his gun and shot her through the faceplate of her helmet.
No.
Diarra screamed over the open line between her and her brother. Linda lunged up to her feet, her pain forgotten. A heavy hand to her chest staggered her back to the wall of the passage. She hit it and tried to push off, but a second impact of a 16-millimeter slug punched through her suit and broke ribs and tore flesh. Ere a blood blossomed out of the hole in her suit, freezing and falling in an arc of ruby crystals to deck. Linda struggled against the wall and then slid down and lay still. Brax stared at the blurry display while his sister sobbed beside him. Her sobbing dulled into snuffles, and then she leaned into his side and back.
Brax, some.
She slid down his body, pushing against him harder on her way to the deck of the bridge. Brax stumbled away and turned to stare at her. There was too much going on. His dad sucked through the hull into space. Or the pirates' vented airlock. Adam too, and then Ox and Mom. He wanted to give in and collapse too. Maybe if he did, he'd wake up and it would all be a dream. That was when he noticed the fog of mist near her butt. He blinked, staring at it for over a second before his emotionally battered brain made sense of it. He grunted, trying to speak her name and warn her at the same time. Rather than repeat himself, he rushed to the emergency kit at the back of the bridge and yanked the door open. He fumbled about, knocking things off the shelves and out of their bins until he found the sealant kit.
Hang on, D.
He said as he rushed back and pushed her over so she was lying on her stomach. He found the fault, a seam at her waist that must have been damaged one of the times she fell. He opened the valve on the sealant tube and, with trembling hands, smeared a jagged line of goop over the area. Bubbles formed in it and began to work their way through the quickly congealing sealant. He grabbed a square patch of airtight fabric and then tore open the tube of auto-weld. He smeared that around the edges of the patch and watched as it dissolved and melded the edges of the patch into the fabric. He waited for a count of 5 seconds for the chemical reactions to finish and then applied a second layer of sealant over the edges of the patch. When he was finally finished, he sat back and stared at the job. There was no more frozen mist seeping out. He'd stopped the leak. But had he stopped it in time? If she'd already collapsed? Brax flipped his sister over and grabbed the panel on her forearm. He tapped on it, bringing it to life and showing the status of the suit. Air pressure was low. No, not low, dangerously low. Carbon dioxide was one of the most prevalent gases. The patch kit had more than just material to fix a hole in a suit. He grabbed the can of air and flipped her back over so he could screw the port into the back of her helmet. Once it wouldn't turn any further, he twisted valve on the bottle and then did the same to the valve on the back of her helmet. He felt the vibration of air rushing through his gloves, but he couldn't hear anything in the vacuum. When he couldn't feel the buzz coming from the pressure-activated gyro in the bottle anymore, he sealed the valve on Dee's helmet and unscrewed the bottle. He didn't even remember to do a quick check to make sure there wasn't any new leaks on her helmet or at her waist. Instead, he flipped her over and checked her control panel on her arm again. Correction, that could heal. It only would heal if she had time. Brax lurched up to his feet and spun back around to look at his dad's display. He zoomed out and saw they were at the bridge door, trying to get in.
Shit!
Brax hissed. He turned and stared at the door, straining to remember if he'd locked it. Latching it to protect against air loss was one thing, but had he actually locked it too, so they couldn't get in without an override code? Several seconds ticked past. The door stayed shut. Brax took shallow breaths, afraid to breathe, for fear he might not hear or notice them.
Brax?
Brax screamed and jumped. He landed off balance, took 3 teetering steps, and hit the back wall next to the emergency supplies. He went down to one knee and his hands and then pushed himself back up.
What's going on?
Dee asked.
Why fuck? Why does my mouth hurt and oh my god?
Brax panted inside his suit and forced himself to get his breathing under control. He rushed over to her and helped pull her to her feet.
D! Thank God, are you alright? Of course you're not, but I mean, are you?
Brax, what?
Your suit was leaking.
Oh shit.
She breathed, and then she coughed and coughed some more. When she got control of herself, she clung to him and asked in a shaky voice.
It's real.
Yeah, it's just us now. They're outside.
The pirates?
Yeah.
I pissed myself.
She admitted.
Is that all?
She hesitated and then whispered.
No.
His sister was filthy, but he didn't care. She was alive.
It's okay. You're lucky I saw the leak and patched it up. Pressure that low, you're damn lucky to be alive. Anybody would make a mess if that happened to them.
She sniffed and nodded as much as her suit would let her.
What do we do? How?
She trailed off, not knowing how to put words to the terrible questions she didn't want to ask.
They can't get in here. I locked it.
Diera looked at him and reminded him.
Bruh, they blew up our fucking airlock door.
Brax's eyes widened.
I didn't think of that.
So now what? Maintenance tunnels?
Yeah, might as well. God, it's been years since I've been in them.
Back when we used to play in them.
We're a lot bigger now.
Mom still got around in them. So did Adam.
Alright, there's a hatch back here, let me get the tools.
Brax said. He went back to the cabinet and retrieved a powered drill with a block holding the 4 standard bits used on the Legia welded to it. He motioned for Diera to follow him and tried not to noting how awkwardly she walked as she tried to come to terms with the mess her bladder and bowels had made in her suit when it had been depressurized.
Hurry.
She said when he started unscrewing the 2 bolts that held the access panel door in place. Wisps of frozen white ice crystals began to spew out from the screws and around the edges of the panel, but Brax couldn't stop in time to prevent the hatch from blowing free and slapping into him hard enough to knock him back.
Brax.
Diera screamed while a gust of air blasted over him and repressurized the bridge. Brax sat up and looked at the hole in the wall.
That fast enough?
She dropped down beside him on her knees and asked,
Are you okay?
Not my first blowjob.
He said to make it seem like he hadn't nearly shit himself.
First one you didn't pay for.
She countered.
Hey!
Don't scare me like that again. Did you know that was pressurized?
No,
He admitted.
I guess every section is though. Main hallway, cargo rooms, our cabins, and the mess hall, engineering. Why not the inner hull too?
Space between hulls is vacuum, though, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think so.
You think so?
Your mom's the one who fixes everything here. I learned some engineering from my mom, but it was all about the drive, not the rest of the ship. Anyhow, we should go. Are you ready?
No.
She said, but she crawled through the hatch and stood up in the narrow walkway anyhow. She triggered the lights on her suit on and waited for him to crawl in after her. She moved a little and then looked back at him. He was still on his knees at the entrance.
What are you doing?
She hissed.
Closing the door so they don't know we're here.
Oh, good call.
Way I figure it, they only saw Dad, Adam, and our moms. They don't see us, we can hide out until they leave.
He explained.
I can't seal the hatch tight though, so if they blow the door on the bridge we'll lose pressure here too.
Diera was silent long enough. He began to worry.
Dee? Yeah. You're right. I'm just so mad. And scared. And I don't know. It's not fucking fair.
I know. But I got you, sis, don't worry.
Don't worry?
I promised Dad I'd keep you safe.
Yeah. Well, he promised that to all of us. Sometimes a promise isn't good enough.
Hey, he didn't.
No, I mean Dad was great. I mean there was nothing he could do, you know?
Oh,
Diera thought about their situation a moment longer and said,
I don't blame him for not trying to negotiate. I mean, they didn't give a fuck. They blew a hole in our ship and killed everyone without giving them a chance. Dad was right to fight.
Brax nodded.
yeah, he was.
Come on, let's move.
Diera said. Brax climbed to his feet and turned sideways so he could shuffle through the access ways between them, superstructure, interior rooms, and the inner hull.
What are we going to do? Just hide?
Diera asked after they'd walked, shimmied, crawled, and climbed through the inner workings of the Legia for several minutes. The freighter was over 140 meters long, but even so, there was precious room for maintenance workers. Space on any ship was at a premium, even more so on freighters.
Do you have a better idea?
I want them to pay. Pay for what they did to our family.
Yeah, me too, but they have guns, and last I checked, we left ours behind in the main hall. They're shooting hard bullets too, not plastic. They don't care about us or the ship.
They can't just get away.
The ship trembled around them, hinting that something big had just happened. They didn't have to wait long to figure it out. The air around them rushed past them, pulling them with its growing force. The tight confines of the maintenance passages worked to narrow the voiding air and increase its force, but it also helped give them something to brace themselves against. The last of the air trapped inside the ship was gone in less than a minute, leaving them staring at each other.
They got onto the bridge.
Dira twisted to look past Brax back the way they'd came.
Why'd we lose air?
Brax frowned as he replayed what he'd done in their rush to escape. He closed his eyes and swore, before explaining,
I couldn't screw the hatch on, pressure must have made it pop.
Dira sucked in a breath.
So they know where we are now?
He nodded inside his suit.
Probably.
Fuck.
Yeah.
She turned a little to stare at him.
I've got it.
What?
I know what to do.
Brax bit back his big brother nose-best snide remark and asked,
What?
We pop another hatch and sneak out. Then make our way onto their ship and take it over.
Her words made his head spin.
We do what?
It's perfect. We leave those fuckers stuck on the Leda. Maybe even do some extra sabotage before we leave.
What about the pirates still on their ship?
Won't be hardly anyone left.
Brax couldn't believe what he was hearing.
How do you know that?
I've done lots of reading up on pirates and how they operate. Plus I asked Linda things from when she used to be stuck with them.
He shook his head and turned to lean against the wall of a cargo bay.
I don't believe what I'm hearing. You read about them, so you know them?
Not just read, I saw interviews and exposes and even some autobiographies. Plus what your mom said. Are you saying she's not a reliable?
Brax sighed and shook his head.
Brax, come on, they know we're here. We can't hide, not forever.
If we stay ahead of them long enough.
Bruh, come on. They outnumber us. Won't take long and we won't be able to hide anywhere.
Brax knew she was right, but he didn't want to give in to the sinking feeling in his stomach.
The odds of us being able to do this, they're not good. We're not soldiers,
Dira raised her arms like she was going to shake him. Instead, she shook her hands between them.
So what if they're not good? You know where they're worse? If we just stay here and do fuck all. They'll find us and they'll kill us. They won't waste time, they'll just shoot us. Just like they did with the others.
This is crazy.
But it's our only shot. You see that, right?
No, I just can't come up with something smarter. Yet.
Okay, so you keep thinking while we work on my plan.
Fuck.
Is that a yes?
He hesitated and then sighed.
This is dumb. You're lucky you're family. I'm all you've got left. Even if we don't win, at least we go out trying as family.
Fine. Crazy bitch.
He saw her grin through her faceplate.
There's nobody I'd rather do this with. I mean that. Even if they weren't, you know.
I know.
Brax said. He didn't like saying it either. It wasn't real yet. They weren't gone, just away.
So there's a hatch over this way. Should take us near the reactor.
Brax looked around and nodded.
Yeah. I thought you wanted to go to their ship. Let's make sure they won't be able to use this one against us.
Not much they can do, they shot the main drive.
She didn't respond, only stared off into the darkness of the maintenance tunnels.
Holy shit, you want to kill them. You want to blow the ship up and kill them.
Brax, they have to die. After what they did, they have to.
Fuck.
Brax breathed.
Alright, let's go.
You can do it.
He didn't ask what she meant. He knew. She wanted him to overload the Legion's power core. The explosion would be bad, but it wouldn't destroy a ship the size of the Leader. It would turn it into space debris, though. Nobody would ever fly it again.
Yeah, I can do it.
Then let's do it.
She said and pushed forward into the ship's inner workings. When they reached the hatch, Brax still had the power tool from the bridge. He flipped the safety seals off the internal screws and used the driver on the double-headed screws to remove them. He shut his suit lights off, pushed the hatch open, and stuck his head through. His breath and the faint hum of his suit's recyclers were the only noise that greeted him. He almost announced it was clear when common sense prevailed. The ship had no atmosphere. Of course, his suit didn't pick up any sound. The lights were on, too. That wouldn't have happened unless motion had triggered them. Motion near a doorway, in the reactor core, or at the control panel. The maintenance hatch was not monitored. That had never changed from the years since they'd played hide-and-seek in the hull. He pushed himself out a little further and looked around the hatch. The maintenance hatch was in the back of the reactor control room, tucked in a cubby that Ox demanded remain empty so she didn't have to pull crap out of the way every time she needed to get into it. The control room was empty.
Lights on.
He warned her.
I don't see anyone, but
Could be a rat. I've walked into rooms that were lit up before because of them.
Dad swears there's no rat on the Leda.
He said that because he knows my mom is terrified of them.
And we've never been able to find any proof of one. Nothing chewed up, no poop, nothing.
Then explain why lights have been on in rooms that didn't have anyone in them?
He sighed.
Later. I'm checking the room.
Be careful.
He didn't point out the irony of her violent intentions against warning him to be careful. His sister, he loved her, but she was one contradiction after another. Brax crawled out of the hatch and the cubby before slowly rising to his feet. The door to engineering was closed, which was a good sign. He stepped over to the control station and activated the display that showed the reactor core. Nobody else was dumb enough to be in the same room while it was running.
Clear.
Thank God.
Dira muttered as she crawled out of the hatch and stood up. She muttered under her breath a few times, complaining about how gross she felt, and then joined him at the panel.
Now set it to blow.
Brax grunted and brought up the controls on the reactor and entered the maintenance code so he could begin overriding the failsafes. He stopped as soon as he got into the restricted menus.
Somebody beat me to it.
What? Who? Did Mom set up a surprise just in case? Something she could override.
Brax turned to another display and brought up an audit log. He read through it and frowned.
No, it's some code I've never seen or heard of. Looks like it granted administrative access, though.
Fucking pirates have a hacker?
Looks like it. Okay, hang on, I need to think.
Dira bit her lip and tried not to focus on the smell coming from her suit. She was close to gagging for lack of something to keep her mind elsewhere inside of a minute. She opened her mouth to break her silence when Brax swore again.
How long until the Navy gets here?
I don't know, 30-some hours now?
This has been set to overload and go critical in 38 hours.
38, that's longer than oh fuck me, that makes sense. They want to catch the Navy in the blast too.
It's not going to be that big of a blast.
Brax thought out loud.
Wreck the Leda, sure, but unless you've got another ship sitting on the hull near the reactor, it won't affect them.
It will if they're on board looking for survivors.
Brax's mouth went dry.
Holy shit, that's...
Yeah.
I'm almost more scared that you thought of it so quick.
Stop, it just makes sense. From their perspective. Destroy evidence, get rid of any rescue attempts or witnesses. Yeah. It makes sense.
I want to be sick.
Can you speed it up?
Can I what?
Speed it up. Make it happen in, like, 20 minutes instead of 20 hours.
38 hours.
Whatever. Can you do it?
Well, yeah, but 20 minutes? That doesn't give us much time.
We have to move fast, Brax.
He swallowed and nodded. There was no escape for them. Hiding was off the table well, except if they did manage to stay hidden, he could disable the self-destruct. But that didn't mean they might not have some other sabotage set up too, just in case.
20 minutes?
It's not that far through the tunnels. We pop out, cross over to their ship, and then we do what we need to do.
We're so fucked.
There's no happy ending here. They catch us, we die. They leave us, we abandon ship, we float through space and get lost, then die from no water after days of suffering. No thanks.
Navy ship might find us in time.
We'd have to turn transponders on, which the pirates would pick up.
Fuck.
Yeah. We die for sure every way but one.
Brax stared at her for a second, and then turned to the controls.
20 minutes.
Love you, bruh.
He grunted and adjusted the magnetic seals to shut down in 21 minutes. Then he took another minute to calculate an accelerating curve to raise the temperature on the cooling systems for the seals to make sure he had a failsafe in place.
All right, 20 minutes and this ship spends a microsecond trying to become a new sun. No way they'll be able to stop it.
Let's burn,
she said, and hurried back to the cubby and all but dove through the hatch. Brax spent a moment returning the panels so they looked the way he'd found them. Then he rushed after his sister and crawled through the cramped passage after her.
This was a lot easier when we didn't have suits on.
He complained after squeezing through several tight junctions between rooms, bulkheads, conduits, and supports.
We were half the size we are now too. Mom and Adam can still make it though, so we can too. Probably helps that Mom's so flexible.
Gah! Stop, I don't want to remember the stories I've heard.
Diarra's laugh was cut short. Brax listened a moment and then hissed.
What is it?
Nothing, just forget about it.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. It's your fam too.
The continued squeezing through the bowels of the Leda for almost 9 more minutes. Both were sweating in their suits from the exertion. The difference was each panted breath made Diarra that much sicker, even though she swore she should have gotten used to it by now.
I'm here.
She said when she reached the hatch.
Pass up that driver.
Brax cursed and pulled the power tool off the clamp on his suit and worked his way alongside her feet and handed it up. He stared at her legs while she twisted and contorted to bring the power tool to bear. She kicked him in the throat once with her boot and dropped her knee on the top of his helmet to gain leverage a little later. Brax grunted and kept his thoughts to himself. She didn't need any distractions. They were down to less than 10 minutes.
Got it.
She hissed and pushed against him with her feet to help her get started. She crawled out and rolled up to her feet once she was out of the hatch.
Mom.
Diarra breathed. Brax rushed after her, pulling himself with his arms and scrambling to get his feet under him once he was out. He twisted around and saw the bent and scorched ends of metal where they'd blown the door in. His and Diarra's moms were slumped on the floor opposite the breach. Brax hurried over to stand over Diarra. She was kneeling beside her mother and had her helmet touching the dead woman's.
Diarra.
She sniffed and rose up.
Bye, Mom. Love you.
She stepped over Oksana's legs and knelt down next to Linda.
D, we don't have time.
Dude, shut the fuck up.
Brax clamped his mouth shut. Diarra put her head to Linda's helmet and said,
Love you too, Mom. Rest.
Brax blinked tears down his cheeks and sucked in a breath to force his throat to open.
Come on.
Let's go.
She agreed and turned away. They looked out the opening in the hull and, for the first time, saw the open scaffolding that connected the pirate ship to the Legia. They hadn't used a sealed gantry at all.
That's how they did it. That's barbaric.
Fucking savage.
Brax glanced at her and then took his last step on the leash. The next step propelled him out into space toward the pirate's ship. He couldn't risk turning to look at her without spinning himself out of control, so he asked,
You coming?
Right behind you.
Brax reached out his arms, countering the movement of his right with his left, and grabbed one of the bars in the scaffolding. He used it to correct his course and pull himself further along. He continued this for the remaining 5 meters of space, separating the ships, and came to a fast stop at the pirate's hull. His hands absorbed as much of the impact as possible, but he still ended up smacking his chest and the chin of his helmet into the cold hull of the corvette.
Brax.
Dee called, taking his mind off his clumsy spacewalk.
I've got a problem.
With his hands on the grips outside the pirate airlock, he could turn to look back at her.
What's wrong?
I'm losing pressure again. The seal must not be holding.
Fuck! How bad?
Only down 3%.
Hold on.
He said, and spun back to the controls. He tapped on the panel and, miraculously, the door opened.
Come on.
1 minute he's scared to take over the enemy ship, now he's a fucking space marine.
You're leaking air.
So shut the fucking door and cycle us.
She said as she pulled herself into the airlock beside him. He jammed his finger into the control and watched the lights change and the door swing around and press up against the opening. It clamped against the hull from the inside and the lights shifted again. Plumes of freezing air sprayed into the airlock and rapidly disappeared as the pressure and temperature raised inside the small room. Within 60 seconds, the cycle completed and the inner door released and slid to the side. Deara pulled at her helmet and ripped at the seals on it. She finally unlocked it and twisted them loose so she could yank her helmet up and off her head. She dropped it and gasped in air.
D.
Brax called out. He rushed over her to her as she bent over her knees and continued heaving for breath.
Was your pressure that low? You said 97%.
She straightened slowly and nodded.
I wasn't suffocating. It smells so bad.
Brax blinked and then let loose a single chuckle.
Oh yeah, that. I forgot.
Because you didn't shit yourself.
Well, no.
Let's go steal this ship before I can't stop myself from stripping and running naked through here.
Yeah, good idea.
She turned and glanced at the outer door.
Can you make it so they can't use the airlock?
Brax went to the panel and tapped around the menu until he nodded.
It's locked. Won't stop them if they have an access code, but it'll slow them down.
What if we prevented the inside door from shutting? That way it won't open the outer door.
They can override that and vent the ship.
From outside?
He hesitated.
No, not from outside, only from inside. Probably the bridge too.
She picked up her helmet and jammed it up against the edge of the door.
All right then, we're good.
If the door doesn't push it out of the way.
Best we can do. We're on a schedule.
So how do we get to the bridge?
They both looked up and down the hallway. Brax turned left and said,
The ship's bow is that way.
Good enough. Be nice if we could find their armory on the way.
No kidding.
They hurried down the hallway, mindful of the way the boots in their suits clumped against the metal deck. Short of spending a few minutes taking the suits off and running around in their socks, they had no other options. The corridor led past a few doors that were either dingy crew cabins or, in one case, a head that was cleaner than any of the cabins they passed. The hall ended at a bulkhead with an open door in it. Through the door was a ladder that led up. They both spotted a maintenance access on the right wall in the small room.
Fuck that.
Deara said and started climbing. She stopped after about 2 rungs.
What's wrong?
This is fucking disgusting.
What?
I need a boiling hot shower with a lot of soap when we're done.
Oh yeah. Nasty.
She twisted to glare down at him.
Can we please hurry? We have, like, a minute left. Maybe.
Shit.
She said, and started climbing again. The ladder ended one floor up in another small companionway. Another open door exposed a hallway that ran at 90 degrees to the right of the original passageway they'd been on. There were 2 doors on the right and a single door on the bow, facing right. The doors on the right were shut. The one on the left was open.
Come on.
Deira said, and did her best to creep down the hallway. Brax followed, trying to muffle each step of his boot as best he could. The treads on the bottom had metal traces that could be magnetized to stick to a hull, but they were surrounded by dense polymer tread for added grip on non-magnetic surfaces. The boots and suit were still heavy, though, making it hard not to clump around. Deira peeked around the corner of the open doorway and then jerked her head back. She turned and looked back at him. She mouthed a word, but Brax couldn't tell what she was saying. The fact that she was mouthing it instead of speaking it meant something, though. Deira rolled her eyes when he shook his head. She held up her hand with her pointer finger raised.
1?
Brax mouthed back to her. She nodded, clearly better at lip reading than him. Deira risked another peek and then took a long step to move to the other side of the doorway. Midway through the step, the pirate ship shuddered under them.
What the fuck?
Deira pressed herself against the wall and stared at Brax. Brax stared back, shocked and uncertain, until he realized the reactor on the Letus must have just overloaded. That meant it had blown up. His family's ship, his home, his life.
Fucking, those stupid fuck! There goes the fucking gantry. That's coin some fool won't get.
The woman on the bridge sputtered.
Cap! Oslo! Karina! Tiny! Mikey! Fuck! Somebody! Ring the bell!
What the fuck is wait a fucking minute fucking airlocks breathing? Somebody made it back. Why the fuck aren't you assholes on commons? Fuck, I do everything around here.
That's why you're not the bloody captain in it, she said to no one in a voice with a bad attempt at an ancient British accent. Ah.
She answered herself in her normal voice.
More like the only one with any fucking ambition or self-respect. Fuck. Aight, let's see whose ass I get a chunk of. With any luck, the cap got spaced.
Brax heard her voice getting closer and froze. He stared, eyes wide, as a woman with bright red hair and a high ponytail stepped through the doorway and turned toward him. She had some sort of loose-fitting one-shoulder red halter top over a sleeveless black bodysuit. She wore a utility belt over a pair of cargo shorts with a pistol low on her left thigh.
Who the fuck are you?
She asked as the pistol appeared in her hand so fast it was almost magical. Before Brax could answer, or she could shoot him, Deira clubbed her in the side and back of the head with a heavy glove. The woman staggered and fell to a knee, giving Deira a chance to grab her arm and yank the gun away from her.
Don't you fucking move.
Deira shouted while she pointed the pistol at her. The woman didn't move, but she did blink a few times before saying,
So that's who you are.
What?
She looked up at him.
Your rats jumped from that freighter, yeah?
Do we look like fucking rats?
Smell like it.
Fuck you.
Deira said, and kicked her in the hip. The woman shifted to keep from falling and looked back at Deira now. The captive woman stared at Deira, hesitating as she locked gazes with the blue-eyed woman.
Got some fire in you. I could use a girl like that.
What you think this is?
D.
Brax said to pull her back from the edge. He saw her relax her grip on the pistol, just enough to think they might get through this. He stepped carefully around the pirate and reached out.
Give me the pistol. You find something to tie her up with.
Oi, check my cabin. Got some proper restraints in there. In the crate beside my bed. Somebody's a poor sport. Didn't. Sweetheart, I've been a happy bird in my nest. People you got issue with, I expect you already took care of. The ones that done your fam were on that ship. Take a look if you like. There's nobody left over there. Ripe, that one. Got a shower in my cabin too. That'll make you shit yourself even if you don't shit yourself. Oi! Ain't nobody sucking wind that was there. So you got your payback and wiped my crew. Not even enough for a proper game of cards. Means there's you, there's me, and there's Blue Eyes there. Fuck me, you've got blue eyes too. You two really are blood, not just some bullshit freighter corp fam. Sounds nice and cozy. How about either you get them ropes or you let me loose? 2 on 1, I don't stand much chance. Turned it into a bar. What? Didn't take you for that kind of brother and sister. Kinky's okay though. Oh girl, why didn't you say so? Lots of pick in my cabin. Shower too, like I said to your bra. You're not. Don't be putting my clothes on that nasty ass. Pity, I've got great tits. You're missing out. It's not locked. Oi, got this all mapped out, do ya? 2 of you got a plan for this? That's a plan. I expect I could do better, mate. Or XO, if you rather. The Cap's not my type. Or I'm not his type. I say whatever happens on the dark side happens, though, you know? Cap had, I suppose, special tastes. I'm too old for him. Worth noting I can run hot as a fusion drive, burning unfiltered pellets, and he didn't care for that. Seems maybe I was, for all of a few seconds. Maybe more. If you and Dee want to slingshot this situation into a better orbit, you said it. Couple of times now. And you're Brax. Good name. What? You don't like it? Short, strong, hard to fuck up. That's the name that'll stand out. I'm Nova. Balances the boat that way. Know anything about sailing? I'm playing a role here, Brax. Work with me. Scurrilous pirate wench. Escaped. Not much of a pirate then, was she? More like a guest. Cap liked to have guests too. Especially young and pretty ones. Not my taste, but the Cap's the Cap, you know? Oi, can you do it? Fly the fortune. That she is. Might want to do that. Gravgen is keeping us down, but we be tumbling through space like the engine's got prison shine for fuel. Does. Point is, something goes wrong. We'll be getting to know the walls and ceiling real well. Could have shot you too, but didn't. Thank you, sissy. I was about to do it. Not bad, I'd take you on. Strap you to an engine cowl and we'd get an extra half G. Extra share for Brax. Your brother signed up to be my pilot. What can you do, Blue Eyes? No profit in that. Still green on the board otherwise. You lost pressure. That fucks a body worse than a voluminary dominatrix. You can't stop them any more than you can tug a moon out of orbit. He's cute, though. Nova. My name's Nova. No, just Nova. See, like tugging a moon. You found my treasure. Gotta admit, first time they been used on me. Oi, guess this'll teach me for wondering.
The woman offered with a nod of her head towards the closed door they'd walked past. Deira stared at her a moment, and then shook her head and handed the gun to Brax.
Fine, but I want to shoot her.
Brax tried not to wince.
Are you fucking serious?
Deira spun back to face her.
You killed my entire fucking family. Who the fuck did then? Wasn't my brother. Wasn't me. That leaves you.
Check.
Brax advised his sister. Deira moved past the pirate and into the bridge, keeping as much space between them as possible. The pirate's nose wrinkled as she passed.
Her suit ripped and lost pressure before I could patch her up.
The pirate winced.
What?
Deira returned before the pirate could explain herself. She walked out with cheeks wet with fresh tears.
D?
It's gone.
Bad?
She nodded. Almost torn in pieces.
Fuck. Worse than I thought. Nobody else on the ship?
She looked at him, at the gun, and back at him.
What's that mean?
She said, and then she did a double take at Brax. Deira twitched and glared at her.
Same father, different mothers, but all one family.
The pirate laughed.
Tie her up.
You should just shoot her.
Brax shook his head.
She's surrendered. Navy gets her, they won't like that.
So we toss her out the airlock first.
Fuck, D, you're...
Deira sighed and shook her head.
I know, I'm sorry, this is just shit. Such shit.
The pirate nodded, but kept her mouth shut.
You got a brig on here?
The pirate shook her head.
Fucking pirates.
Deira swore. She stopped and stared at the pirate.
Strip down. Take off your fucking clothes.
She said, and then shrugged.
D. Shut up, Brax. You've got her under control. I want her clothes so I can get out of these.
Deira started working at the seals on her suit, and soon opened it up, down the middle of her chest. She pulled her arms out and pushed the suit down her legs and stepped out of it, leaving it in a lumpy pile in the hallway. The stink filled the passage and made the pirate and Brax both gag.
Now give me your fucking clothes.
Deira said, while she tried to cover the wet spot on her crotch and down her thighs that hadn't dried yet. The pirate said while she stripped off her skimpy top and then reached for the clasp on her belt.
Wouldn't be much point of that, would there?
The pirate unbuttoned her shorts and pushed them over her hips so they slid to the deck with her belt. She nudged it over to her shirt to make a small pile and then added her belt to her shirt on the floor. She reached up to the top of the neckline of her bodysuit and started to pull it so she could slide it down her arm.
Stop. That's enough.
Brax's eyes widened at her quip. Deira scowled and scooped up the discarded clothing. She turned and spotted the woman's cabin and then looked back at her. The pirate nodded. Deira studied her a second longer and then turned and walked awkwardly to the door. Her shorts and legs were a sight from the backside as well, but nobody dared to point it out to her. She opened the door, looked around inside to make sure it was safe, and then stepped in and shut it behind her. The pirate turned to face Brax.
What?
She sighed. Brax nodded and swallowed, buying time to keep from admitting he had no idea what they were doing.
We wait for the Navy to show up. They'll deal with you and we do something. So what, are you the captain of this ship or not? Mate, like, wife?
She chuckled. Brax blinked and shook his head.
I have no fucking idea what you're talking about. That didn't help. But you're not the captain, I got that much.
She smiled. Brax sucked in a breath.
How do you know her name?
The pirate blinked and then smiled at him.
Oh shit. Guess I did.
Brax winced. He shrugged and didn't share anymore. The pirate turned her head and looked through the bridge door.
Sure. Sailing? You mean piloting?
She rolled her eyes.
Playing a role? My mom was a pirate once. Until she escaped, you don't need to pretend you're anything but thugs and bullies. That's terrible.
She shrugged. Brax couldn't help but think back to some of the decisions his dad had made as captain of the Leda. Decisions he hadn't always agreed with, but his dad was the captain.
Yeah, I guess.
She gave him a moment to wrestle with his obvious thoughts and emotions before she said,
Can I what? This ship is named Fortune?
He nodded.
Yeah, I can fly it. Probably, I mean. This has a fusion drive, doesn't it? Ah, got it. You could have just said that.
Brax looked at the gun in his hand.
Thanks for that.
Brax huffed to hide the chill that ran down his back. He gestured at her to go into the bridge first, and then followed her. She pointed out the pilot's couch, and he moved over to it and positioned himself so he had her in view and could keep the pistol pointed at her. He split his attention between the two and was able to figure out the piloting controls easily. He tapped in the commands needed to stabilize the ship and barely even felt the thrusters fire to stop it rolling through space.
What?
You could be my pilot. Before Brax could respond, he heard Dee call for him. She stepped into the doorway and instantly relaxed.
What's going on?
Brax stared at his sister and felt the heat in his cheeks. Her cut-off shirt left a lot of skin exposed, including most of her right breast, since she didn't fill it out as well as Nova did. Her new shorts fell low on her waist, even with the belt.
Oh, stop it. The bottom of my shirt was dirty too. I'll find something else, I was in a hurry.
Dee turned to her. What?
She's saying you look hot. I think.
What's going on out here? What did I miss?
I did not.
Brax?
I stopped the ship from tumbling, that's all. Told her we're waiting for the Navy to get here too.
Nova sulked. She pushed her pout away and focused on Dee.
Green? Bored? What?
Brax gasped. Deira nodded.
My butthole's not right. Burns when I try to pee too. My tongue hurts too. Whole mouth and sinuses too, but mostly my tongue.
Exposure. Low pressure makes the water boil off and tries to pull more out from your, body.
Thank you for mansplaining that to me.
Brax winced while Nova laughed.
Whatever. So, the ship's safe?
For now.
Okay, keep an eye on her. What? Super. What?
She means her name is just Nova, not Supernova.
Nova grinned and said,
I wasn't mansplaining. You asked.
Just watch her.
Dee said, while fighting back a smirk. She walked back out of the bridge. Brax kept an eye on Nova while he checked out the controls at the pilot station and then began to move to check out the rest of the bridge. He still had a lot to discover when Dee walked back in a few minutes later. She had some kind of restraints in her hand. Restraints that looked a lot more complicated than a length of rope.
Good, so you won't know how to get out of them.
Deira said as she walked behind the pirate, grabbed her arms, and began fastening the restraints around her wrists, and then another one around her elbows.
I've really been looking forward to this part.
Deira said as she fit a harness over Nova's mouth and slipped the strap between her lips. Nova hummed around it, but they couldn't make out anything she tried to say.
Where do we put her?
We need to find a closet or something, no telling what she might have hidden in her cabin.
Okay, let's find one. Then can you figure out the comms here so we can notify the Navy what happened?
Yeah. Should be no sweat.
And a drink. I'm thirsty and you have to be dehydrated.
Me too. Scared it'll hurt to drink though. And aftered.
Nova tried to mumble something.
Come on. Let's get you sorted out and we can worry about everything else afterwards.
Keep that up and I won't have to say I told you so.
What?
Brah, look around. We did it. We took their ship and avenged our family. We won.
Doesn't feel like winning. But in a way, you're right.
Nothing we can't do together. Love you.
Love you too.
The end.
Thank you for listening to When Fortune Strikes by Jason Halstead. This is the first of many stories in the Vengeance in the Void series. If you enjoyed it, please remember to like and subscribe and tell a friend or two or 50.